top of it. Coming at you with another video one more once, man. Death has a way of initiating a major psychological response in the living. I was looking at a post yesterday. I don't remember the name of the channel. I think it was called, the name of the channel was Legion of Men. He put it on his little, he made a post. It was about a guy saying that his wife essentially had left him 3 months after the death of her brother. She left him for a guy that she had met 3 months prior at the gym. Now, prior to this, he was saying that, everything was great. I don't understand. We had great romantic nights. We were going to the gym. The sex was amazing. Everything was great. I don't understand what happened. I don't understand. She changed overnight. Right? Death has a way of initiating a major psychological change in the living. Now, apparently she observed this death. She observed the death of her brother, and there was a bunch of stuff going on with him. He had to go to jail and things like that. But I want to start this by saying her actions are not necessarily justified, right? Of course, she shouldn't be going out and cheating on anybody or leaving anybody. Well, I guess she didn't cheat. She told him. She did tell him about it. And of course, that's really, it's rough. It's really bad. She couldn't stick it out. But I'm going to continue with this. I'm going to continue with this, right? When you observe somebody die, especially somebody close to you, you are posed with certain psychological questions. You are posed with existential questions, right? It's not an easy process, especially if you care for the individual very deeply. It's a lot to process, and again, you are asking a lot of questions. Now, there's one problem here. Grief works in many different ways for each and every individual. No person is the same. No person is the same. And so because no person is the same, they react differently to how they see things. Especially when something like this happens. I'm going to make it very clear that no, she should not have left her husband. There were many signs beforehand that probably showed that she was getting ready to go. He made it, it's funny to me that it's highly likely, and I'm not going to say that he did or didn't, but it's highly likely that he did not make a post regarding his wife, on how to help his wife through the situation. No, he made a post talking about how she left him. And I don't know what to do anymore. Everything was good. Everything was good physically, right? He didn't say anything about the post that, yes, she was letting out all this steam. She was talking to me about everything. Everything was good. No, he said that we went to the gym. Everything was good. Physical. Went to the gym. We had a lot of great sex. Physical. Yeah, we had a great run. He was saying that, I think the week before, we had a great romantic date. Right, romantic. Did she say that? Did she initiate that? Did she tell you that she had a romantic date? Did she tell you that she was feeling relieved and she felt much better? No. Again, me. This is what that's what a lot of this is saying. A lot of it's about him and how he's feeling. This person just went through a tragedy within their own lives, with a personal tragedy. They lost somebody very close to them. They fell to addiction. They got into hard times, went to, they were incarcerated for a while, came out, went right back to the addiction, and then they died in front of her. Who knows how? Who knows if they tried to resuscitate? Who knows if they seized and, all of a sudden it was over? Who knows? Who knows what happened? Who knows how it looked? However it is, here is the fact of it. She saw it. She saw it. Right? And that is enough. I'm going to say something personal here, right? I've had to deal with a situation like that where I watched a loved one pass away in front of me. And I remember, and initially I was fairly empty. It wasn't much anger. I was angry, when it happened. But it wasn't anger the following days, right? It was not until maybe 2 weeks later where it was this feeling in my hands. Now I like boxing a lot, so maybe that was attributing to the factor. But it was this feeling in my hands. I wanted to crash it on something. I wanted them to feel something hard, right? I wanted to fight. I realized then that, and people, it's hard for, I practice this stuff. I practice psychology. I practice philosophy. I do this. I have a vested interest in this stuff. Now, people who may not realize what that is. They may not be as in tune with themselves as that. So maybe it's just emotions coming up and they don't know. They'll act on it. I realized that this feeling was not correct. It wasn't right. But I realized then, and y'all can call me corny, but I realized it was fury. I wasn't just angry. I wanted a problem. Right? I wanted a problem. And so I had to make sure that on a daily basis, I checked myself and I checked in with myself. And so for a long time, I stayed away from people. And I just delved into reading. I delved more into the psychology and the philosophy. I needed to figure out what was wrong. I needed to figure out how to properly process grief and to where it would not affect people around me. You understand? In her case, it may not have gone that way. Right? One thing that happens during grief is that people are going to try to find ways to relieve the pain. Right? And so, unfortunately, a lot of the time they will go to some type of addictive substance. They'll go to some type of addictive thing. I remember I was working out a lot more and I was drinking a lot more coffee. That's something that I did. They need something to fill in the void. They need to do something else. Something is missing and they're trying to find it. They need that relief. Now, as she was going to the gym, of course she's not, she probably was just going to the gym, but she was sad. So she was going to the gym, getting her little dopamine hit from it. You know what I mean? Getting her endorphins going. You know what I'm saying? And she was probably, some guy probably saw her there. She was probably looking good, most likely. And he came up to her and she was talking to him. And that was a wrap. She was probably saying some stuff and she probably got a little vulnerable because she was vulnerable. She was emotional. It's pretty fresh, right? She had met the guy that, the other guy in the story that she had the supposed affair with 3 weeks after the death. 3 weeks after. Okay. Now, there's a lot to unpack right there. 3 weeks after. It's consequential. It's a coincidence, not consequentially, but coincidentally, she met this fella 3 weeks after. right? My inference is that she met him long before, but she was able to really start talking to him and letting some stuff out. She was his friend beforehand. And so it wasn't until she started feeling an emotional connection, really, until those 3 weeks. That's what I think. Which is, again, that's not good on her part. That's definitely a negative on her part. She should not have gone about things that way. But, again, emotions are imbalanced. She's not in the best state of mind. And so, again, relief, grieving. This is one of those things where if somebody's you're going through a tough breakup and one of the individuals is, they're having a hard time and they're really emotional, this is one of the ways to manipulate them. That's why I'm sure a lot of you have heard, and I've heard, that you should probably try to get her after she's going through her breakup and she's feeling bad about it. That's when you usually get her, right? That's what's said. I don't agree with that sentiment, but that's what's said. Why? Because she is highly emotional and she is more likely to attach to you because of your bonding with her through a stressful and hurtful experience, and you're causing her to heal from it. You are her quote-unquote savior, right? The same thing can work for the fellas too. But so that's why this probably worked the same way. Right? Probably worked the same exact way. So what am I trying to get at here? What is the grand scheme of this video? Why am I making it? When I was I like scrolling through the comments every now and then. Just when I'm researching my videos, I love scrolling through the comments. Just going through maybe about 20 of them max. I don't like going through comments too much. There's a bunch of nonsense in those. But it was pretty, for this channel, it was pretty standard for the fellas to, women always do this. It's women's fault, women, all that stuff. It was all those comments, I didn't see any understanding. Now, I get it. I get why they were responding that way to a point. But again, this is not the way that you respond to a situation like that. It was too much to unpack from the first paragraph that he wrote. Too much to unpack. We have to focus on the fact that she experienced a death. Right? And now she has to live with it. Now, I'm not sure if she was the only one there. I don't know all of this. A lot of stuff left out. But the fact of the matter is she was there. The fact of the matter is she lost somebody important. Again, this initiates a strong psychological change in the living person. The person who is left behind. The person who has to pick up the pieces. Right? So her mind is shattered. Her mind is going through all types of ways. Right? So this is not a sudden change, right, within the 3 months. It happened right there. It happened that day. It manifested probably, I'm not going to say it probably manifested quick because like I said, individuals are different. But it probably, if the change did occur that quickly, it probably manifested pretty quick. The changes were pretty quick. Now, again, remember, I said he was all focused on the physical, and of course he made a post after. He didn't make a post while she was going through it. How do I help my wife? What do I do? How do I help somebody get through a situation like this? Because if I'm, to my understanding, I don't think a lot of people, a lot of people probably do go through this stuff, but I don't think a lot of friends, family, spouses are equipped to help somebody through an event like that. A very, we can just go with traumatic event like that. It's personally traumatic to them, right? So I don't think a lot of people are equipped to deal with it. So why didn't he ask that question? right? Why would he said he, and by the way, let me get into that, right? Why didn't he ask that question to the people then? But he also had said, I left this part out, forgot about it. He had went to couples counseling, couples therapy, or counseling, marriage counseling, whatever you call it, 3 times. So he tried to do that. I had a problem with that. I had a problem with that one. Now follow me here. I had a problem with him going to couples therapy because the problem here was not the relationship. You understand me? The problem here was not the relationship, right? It was a result, right? The relationship had issues as a result of another problem. She is experiencing existential issues. She is experiencing major psychological shifts. She is having a problem adjusting to her own reality. This problem has a chain effect to the relationship. And so because she's finding fault in her own experience, she is going to find fault in her current experience there. She is trying to find relief from her experience. She is trying to find relief. And however she can change it, in order for it to improve so she does not feel as demoralized, as pained in her own life, right? Y'all understand what I'm saying, man? If she does not have to feel as pained in her own life, then she will make the change. So this fella at the gym was probably hitting every area that she needed psychologically. He was providing some sort of clarity. He was providing some sort of clarity that the husband was missing. You understand what I'm saying? I'm making this video because we do not focus on the psychological concepts of the person. We do not focus on the psychological qualities of the person enough. Right? We can replace existential with spiritual if you like. We don't focus on the spirit of the person. You're into all. We do not focus on the meaning and the purpose of an individual. We like to always associate it with me, me, me. Again, it was a personal problem to him, and he thought that it was related to the relationship. He was trying to fix his own, he was focused on his own feelings. He was trying to fix his own problem, rather than focus on the fact that she just lost somebody very important to her, and she could not, she is having trouble adjusting to it. I completely believe that she is going to come running back to him. I completely believe that she is going to be like, I made a mistake. I completely believe. But for now, she told the husband that, oh, I have to figure out why I'm having such a strong connection to him. He couldn't tell her because he was not equipped. He didn't have an understanding. Right? He was focused on the wrong problem. He didn't get what was happening. Death has a way of initiating a major psychological change in the living. You understand me? He couldn't fathom that kind of pain that she was feeling. He couldn't fathom it. He can't understand it. He has not lived in that realm. And as the many other people that I know, that I was seeing in those comments, they never lived there. There's a certain place you go, you understand me, when that happens. There's a certain place you go when you see that kind of death happen. There's a certain place you go. And so when somebody's in that place and they're in that pit and they're in that personal zone, understand, because grief hits everybody individually. Even if a family is affected by the death of one, the pits are different. They're in different pits. They're never placed in the same pit. One pit is deeper than the other. The other may be provided with a ladder. The other may be provided with a torch. The other may be provided with a shovel. You get what I'm saying? What I'm saying is the person with the ladder may already have a way out. The person with the torch may have to find their way, out of there. The person with the shovel is going to continue to dig themselves. Understand me? So this is not a man and woman problem here. Right? There's probably certain aspects that, the woman would do more or the man would do whatever. But this is an existential problem. This was never purely a relationship problem between the two. If everything was good and then suddenly it changed. Right? Suddenly it changed. It couldn't have been so sudden, right? It couldn't have been so abrupt. Because here's the thing. She probably came back home and said, yeah, it was just great talking to this guy. He was able to understand me. He was able to do this, and that. And then she keeps talking to him day after day. Maybe she was going to the gym more often. Maybe her consistency. Maybe she was staying there a bit longer. Understand me? Maybe she was sitting up there coming home more often. Bringing him up more and more. Maybe her mood was shifting every time she came back. These are the changes that he was not paying attention to. He shrugged it off because she's going through something. You need to be... Come on, man. Y'all ain't hearing me today. You need to be in that same square. Because right now, she's shifting. Right now, her emotions are imbalanced. Right now, her psychological state is shifting too much. She's on a boat, and she's rocking back and forth. And she's trying to find a way for the storm to stop. She's trying to find a way out the storm. And she thinks she found an island. Let me tell you now, the island is still going to bring the storm. She's just out of there for a little bit. The husband could have guided her out the storm. You're going the wrong way. You're heading more toward it. You're heading further in it. Because what's going to end up happening, you understand me, is that she's going to realize that this fella was not stable enough. Right? She's going to realize that the storm is still going to follow her. Now, there's a small chance that he will be the rock that she needs. There's also a chance that she'll say, none of them can lead me out of this. None of them can guide me out of this storm. And none of them can guide you out the storm. When you're supporting somebody through situations like this, I need you to understand that you can't guide them out. You can't grab their hand and pull them out. Right? I said the husband will guide her. Remember what I said? But she has to still steer the boat. She still has to figure out how to get everything in order. She still has to guide the boat that way because it's not his boat, it's hers. She knows how it works the best. It has a way of initiating a major psychological response. The point being here is that you have to make sure that you catch the person when they're slipping. Meaning, like if it seems like they're going down the wrong path. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, this is not the right way. But he couldn't do one of the major things. I'm willing to bet he couldn't do one of the major things, and I'm not going to assume his life. But I'm saying that if he couldn't connect with her here, I am going to assume. I'm going to assume because if he couldn't connect with her, if he couldn't understand why she went through a sudden change, quote unquote, then he'd never been in the pit before. He's never been there. right? When you see somebody going down the wrong path, he was not able to say this simple quote, I've been there before. I've been in a similar area, because nobody is the same. And you don't want to downplay whatever experience they're going through. I've been in a similar place, right? When a loved one passed away in front of me. I've been in a similar place. And so I'm trying to tell you that right now, everything is off. You talk to friends, you talk to family, it's not the same. Something is off. It's like everything shifted to the left. It's like you walk into a room and everything is shifted to the left, and you know, like, this isn't right. It's off. Everything's off. Every interaction is off. The things I like doing is off. But then you find that one thing that is right on center. And sometimes it's a for now thing, and sometimes it's not. Again, this is why people fall into addiction, because that one thing that they're doing is right on target. Exactly how I wanted to feel. Exactly how I want to be, right there. She fell into a drug and she's gone. And now when she starts waking up and getting her bearings, she's going to have to go through that. Another tragedy. I made a mistake. Oh dear. You know what I mean? Again, this isn't a man and woman problem. This isn't a relationship problem. This is something that you got to understand. That when you go through something like that, man, it's not easy. And it's not going to be easy supporting the other person through this stuff. You get me? But if you can help them, you can guide them through it, it'll be fantastic. And for the person going through something like this, for the person dealing with a situation like this, sorry for your loss. But it's time for you to go on a journey. It's time for you to take responsibility for yourself. And what I mean by that is you have to find that healthy thing that puts you back on the square. If it means gaining more understanding about grief, if it means getting into another community, not trying to surround yourself and not trying to find a way out, but trying to deal with what you're going through now. The point of it is you don't need to find a way out. You need to find a way through it. Right? You don't need to try to escape it. You need to be able to overcome it. You need to conquer what is in front of you. You don't need to try to find a way around. Maybe I can go. No. Go through the storm. Go through the storm, because there's no way. It's too widespread. It's affecting too many areas of life. Right? It's an existential problem. The thing about existential problems is that they affect everything. And if you cannot satisfy the existential issue, if you cannot satisfy it, if you cannot solve it, you'll go into states like depression. You'll become angry. You'll become, things will bother you quicker. You won't find joy in things. Sadness will be your regular disposition. I speak from experience. I was unfortunate enough to experience something like that, but fortunate enough to be able to come and tell you guys something like this. This isn't an easy thing to go through. It's like that thing spoke to me yesterday, and I saw people that just didn't get it. Yeah, she's in the wrong. But at the same time, she's not really. The fella's in the wrong too. There wasn't enough understanding. Yeah, you tried to support her, but it wasn't good enough. right? You tried to support her the best, the average way that most fellas try to do it. They try to hit them over the head with a bunch of physical things. I want to make you feel better. I don't want to make you be better. And that's a difficult thing. Because, I understand some people, they want to just feel better. They don't want to be better. And even then, they'll probably still leave you. But at least you could have worked it out, and it wouldn't even been a whole, hey, I'm going to get on the internet and tell everybody what's going on in my business. You understand? At one point, he said the family and her friends were just like, what was the word they used? Devastated. I think that was the word. They were devastated by the sudden change. Right? I can't believe this is happening. I can believe it. I can believe it. It's not in the world of fiction. It's not so far off. I can't believe it. It's not like Thor coming down from the sky. It's not none of that. It's right here, based in reality. I can believe that she was trying to find a way out. I can believe it. But again, she's trying to go around, not through. She's not trying to deal with it. She's not trying to sit with it. And what ends up happening when people try to escape situations, they try to escape it, they do stuff like that. And so that's why I'm saying she's wrong in that. She's wrong because she chose the wrong thing. But nobody knew how to deal with her. Nobody knew how to approach her. Nobody understood. And people are difficult. And you sometimes just got to let them do their own thing. It sucks that he lost his wife. Really, it is. It sucks. But you couldn't help her. Right? And at this point, it's not about saying that you're wrong or right or saying that, oh, you suck or nothing like that. Again, realize that I never used those words. I never said that he was like, he was just so terrible. He wasn't equipped. He wasn't equipped to handle the issue at hand. He's never been in the pit. That's it. This is the truth of it. Right? And if he has been in it, he don't know. I guess it just didn't hit him as hard. He didn't remember. He didn't remember. Right? And so he's not a bad fella for doing this. I don't know his ins and outs. It's like I don't know her ins and outs. But I know that mistakes are made. And they were made on both sides. And so from this point, both of them have to progress forward and see what they did wrong and what they did right. And for him, he's just going to be able to see that sooner than she is. Because right now, she's still in that zone. She still has the film over her eyes, so to speak. She's still running from the problem until she realizes that every time she looks up, the storm follows her. Right? Because she has to realize that she has to weather it. She has to sit there. She has to deal with the thoughts. She has to deal with the pains. She has to deal with the anger. She has to deal with the days where she doesn't feel like it. She has to try to come up with a solution to weather the storm. For me, I researched. I went deep. Found out about something called thanatology. I was going so hard. I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? Articles, scholarly articles. I was looking up different things. I was looking up what kind of psychologists, how did they address grief? How did they address death? How did the philosophers do it? What were the techniques? What were the certain things that you could do? I was going in, writing stuff. Everything I could do to weather the storm in my mind, to conquer it, rather than run from it. So that if another storm were to come, I've been here before. I don't got to run from you. You got to deal with me. You understand what I'm saying? I'm done. That's all I wanted to say. Just wanted to talk to you one more once. Y'all continue to be a benefit to yourselves and others, and I hope to speak to you again soon.